I'd like to explain something. First Lady, she sends her regards, by the way. Darling, I had a rough day at the office today, darling. I love you very much. I got indicted. And next week I'll be indicted again, and the following week again, and then again, and again, and again. I have to call up Ivanka. Ivanka, hi, honey, how you doing? Great, Dad, how's it going? Well, I got indicted at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Oh, that's not good. I said, no, it's not. How would you like this, though? Seriously, it's a terrible thing. And I try and take the light side of it, but it's a very bad thing for the country. It's very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And think of it, got indicted. Every one of them is just ridiculous. But think of it, thank you, because if I said it twice, I'd get in trouble. But think of it, got indicted for stuff that they've been doing for years. Did you ever hear Maxine Waters and these people talk? The way they talk, we're going to this and we're going to that. I won't even say what she says. Because you know what they'll do? They'll say, I said it. They'll take the Maxine Waters off and they'll just have me say what she said. They'll say, he said that. But that's what they do because they're fake news. But did you ever hear some of these people talking about the viciousness? When you see them in a restaurant, you go in there and you know what you do to them, right? If I ever did that, problems. And then remember when Biden? I'd like to take him to the back of the barn. I dream of that. You know what I do with him? Oh, I dream of it. I'd hit him right in that fake nose. That fake nose. They'd have plastic lying all over the floor. But I don't want to say that. So when he says it, they say, oh, he said. Remember when he was doing that? I'd like to take him to the back of the barn. You know what you do with him? You just look at him and you go like this. But, so he can say that, and they say, oh, did you hear him? If I said it, they'd say I was violent. I was violent. There's two standards of justice. It's a very bad thing, but it's a very unsafe thing for our country, very bad thing for our country. And the fake Biden-inspired fraud case, as an example, against me, brought by the corrupt Attorney General of New York State, Letitia Peekaboo James. And New York State has become very sadly, look, I love New York, I love it so much, but it's become a crime-infested place. Crime-infested, filthy, dirty. The job they do is horrible. Where people and businesses are fleeing to other states in record numbers. It's her, and I have a highly partisan judge, a real political guy right out of the clubhouses. And he's been overturned many times by the appellate courts. And he defrauded me. They defrauded me. Because I have a house that's very valuable, and they try and make it like I'm increasing values. And honestly, it's a very conservative number, but they valued a house that's worth 100 times more than the number they use. Let's say 50 to 100. They valued it at $18 million, and people say it's worth anywhere from 50 to 100 and maybe even that more. They defrauded me, and he called me a fraud before I even got to court. I said, how the hell can a guy do that? Called me a fraud before I got to court. So my assets are worth much more than listed on the 100% disclaimed financial. You know what a disclaimer is? You have a clause up front. It says, do not believe these statements. They were made by management. They may be high, they may be low, they may be this. But do your own due diligence, do your own research, do everything. Do not believe a word in them. So we have, number one, statements that are the financial statements are less than the actual values by a lot, by a tremendous amount. That's number one. They said it was just the opposite. She campaigned, I will get Donald Trump. She didn't know anything about me. I have the greatest assets, like the hotel. I have it listed for X dollars. I sold it for much more than I have it listed for. All my problems. I built a great company, cash, very little debt, all this stuff. And I have this monster going around in court, and she's got a judge that wouldn't change. He wouldn't give it to the commercial division where it belonged, but it really belonged nowhere because it should have never been brought. This was a case that should have never been brought. There were no victims except me. You know, the banks say, like, what are we doing here? He paid off his loan. He never had a default. He was a great customer. They said, we don't care if he paid it off. We think he may have been overvalued, which is very subjective. But even if it's subjective, I don't even say that, it's much lower than the actual value. The banks were so thrilled. They don't even know what's going on. They said, no, he paid his loan. I never got sent a default notice. You know the way if you're late with a loan, you get a default notice. You have not paid. You have 10 days. I never got a default notice. I paid them off. And many of them I paid off way early. So we go to the appeals court. We won on the statute of limitations because they went back, back to the Stone Ages. And, when he was 12... No, they went back to the Stone Ages. They went way, way back. You have like a 5-year term, you have a 3-year term, sometimes you have a 6-year term. But the appeals court gave me a total victory. And this radical left judge, he's a Trump-hating judge, hates Trump, he refuses to accept the appeal court's decision. So the case should be dropped immediately. It's amazing. So we have a judge that's out of control, and he's totally afraid of Peekaboo James. He's totally afraid of her. He's intimidated by her. And she convinced him that Mar-a-Lago, which is probably the most valuable home anywhere in the United States, probably by far, is worth $18 million instead of numbers that are 50 to 100 times greater than that. So it's a complete miscarriage of justice and election interference. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to damage your name and your reputation. But I can explain it to people. And when I explain it, people say, wow. But here's a case where they said I went in with statements that were inflated, which, by the way, every developer does, just so you understand that. I'm the only one that probably doesn't. But go in with statements, if you look at developers, and one of the banks said, no, we expect that. We always cut everything in half. But he didn't have to do that with us. They said we were very happy with him. He was a great customer. And I'm being sued for fraud. The only victim is me. And this was election interference. They want to damage your name and reputation so that instead of a room that's packed with thousands of people outside trying to get in, you have 1/3 of the room here. Or you have, like DeSantis, you have 25 people here. And they can't get out fast enough. Every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, communists, and fascists, which is what they are, every time they indict me, I consider it a great badge of honor. I really do. I really do. Because I'm being indicted for you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Front row Joe, would you like to accept a couple of indictments? He says, no, I don't want to be. No, that's true. But you have to be strong and you have to be very smart. These are bad people. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. I'm never going to let that happen. They want to silence me because I will never let them silence you. And in the end, they're not after me, they're after you. And I just happen to be standing in their way. That's all it is. That's all it is. They never had anything like this. They never had anything like this. They still haven't recovered from 2016. So they cheated like maniacs in 2020, but they still haven't recovered from 2016.